Hey everybody, it's Debbie LaChusa here, and this is part of our Living Inspired series. I'm so excited today to be here with my friend Krista. I want you to hear her story because it's truly inspired. I've known Krista for a year and a half, I think?
Yeah.
And we've become good friends, and I have watched her business grow, and I have seen how she's building it. And guys, you can't plan this stuff, as we've talked about. It's totally inspired. So welcome, Krista.
Hi. Thank you so much for wanting to talk with me. You know how I feel about you and the dogs and Louie. You guys are wonderful people, and so it's really it's an honor to sit here and talk with you.
Well, I'm happy that you're here. So tell me, how did you get started in the raw dog food business?
Well, going back even a little bit prior to that, without too much, we'd had two dogs that we'd lost to cancer. And another one we lost, but it was to a bowel obstruction. But still, we had lost 2 out of 3 dogs to cancer. And, we just thought that's the way it was. And so then our third dog, Norman, who was our Mastiff, he was 5 years old and was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which it's pretty much a death sentence. When, by the time they catch it with those dogs, it's fatal, it's aggressive. And he was only 5 years old. At this point, because he was so young, it really rocked our world. It just shook our foundation completely. And my husband, who's in emergency medicine, started doing a ton of research. And shocking to us, everything came back to the food, the kibble. And even more so than that, it was the carbohydrates, which we were just kind of blown away. I did not know dogs were carnivores. I did not know that they didn't have a carbohydrate requirement. So it wasn't even so much that it was like bad stuff in kibble, it was the carbs. And so we quickly took Norman off of all the carbs. I couldn't give him raw at that point because he was sick, and because dogs will compensate and then they crash, so you think they're fine until they're not. And so I got him on all I was making roasts every night and turkeys. And,
wow. Eating better than most people.
And he was 200 pounds. So I mean, my husband would come in and there'd be a huge turkey cooking in the oven. I'm like, don't you touch that.
It's not for you.
It's not for you. It's for Norman. And then vegetables. But we had another English Mastiff puppy at the time and our Basset Hound. And we went cold turkey to raw. And I was doing it on my own at first, and it was exhausting because, it was a lot of work, and then cooking for Norman plus the emotion, it was a rough 3 months. Yeah. That's how we got into raw, and that's how we found it, and then everything kind of took off from there.
So how did you start selling it? I mean, you were obviously using it for your own dogs.
Yeah.
But
once a month, which actually ended up feeling like once a week, I had grinding day, and I would have those big bus dish things that the bus dish guys have. I'd have 10 of them out on the kitchen table, and I'd be grinding food and breaking grinders and bagging it up, and quickly that became a hindrance. So we did that for a while. We sadly lost Norman 3 months later, but I couldn't go backwards, right? There's no way with what I had learned could I go backwards. So that kind of led into getting a commercial raw that, we were feeding 9 pounds a day. So, it was crazy. So at that point, we did it for maybe about a year, I think, with a commercial raw, and I became more educated on things, and really canine cancer became our plight, and which kind of opened up one day. I'm like, why am I not doing this? I want to help dogs. I want to cure cancer. I want to get dogs healthy. And that it evolved to about 2 years ago when we opened up Vibrant Canine, and we got our food formulated, had it formulated proper so it was complete and balanced, and that's how we got there.
And you were working full time in another job until just last year.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was a 911 dispatcher, you remember, and working 24-hour shifts. So driving all the way from the Inland Empire to San Diego and working a 24-hour shift at 911 dispatcher, and coming home and picking up food and delivering food. It was just, I'm so grateful. I've had a great job for 16 years, taking care of people, and I love doing that. It wasn't my passion, but I liked doing it. Yeah. And then this kind of took over, and last November my husband and I decided to call it quits on the emergency. Well, he still works for the fire department, but I was going to take this leap and build this business because I couldn't do it with both. It was too much.
Right, and I've watched you. So we were talking last week, and I just have seen this has been inspired every step of the way. It's a passion business. I don't think you ever sat down 4 years ago and said, I'm going to build a raw dog food business. It just happened.
Yeah.
But I want you to share what you were telling me last week about, because I called you and you said, or I texted you and you said, I have to call you back. I'm speaking to somebody else right now. And you said the people that you've been meeting, I remember what you said. It's like an out-of-body experience.
It was.
Talk to me about that.
I'm going to name drop. Because these people are my heroes, you know, and I'm gonna. No, you're right. I didn't wake up 4 years ago and have a mastiff with cancer, and you know, it's something that snowballed, and it was almost like these next progressive steps. I didn't wake up one day going, I'm gonna have a raw dog food company, and it just all fell into place.
Yes.
And it made sense, even though it hurt. It hurt, like connecting a lot of that back with Norman was painful, and our other dogs that we had lost, you know, and then our Basset Hound, who was, although he was kibble fed for 11 years, he was on raw for 4. He died of cancer. So now we've got 3 dogs out of 6 that we've owned.
Oh.
So the 1 and 2 dogs dying of cancer was a real thing. And so I had been following these people since day one of Norman's cancer diagnosis, which was Dr. Karen Becker and Rodney Habib and Dr. Ian Billinghurst and Dr. Marty Goldstein, all these great people. Gene Dodds, I the list goes on, and I really kind of I started inserting myself into their lives, like not obnoxiously, you know. I do feel humble. I feel humble every day, and so I think, you know, getting them and we've met up with these people in the last couple years. They're called Keto Pet, and they run a canine cancer sanctuary where they are doing amazing work with raw food diets and how they're proportioning it, and they are slowing, stopping, and have even in a couple cases reversed the cancer altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pulling like canine cancer dogs out of shelters that nobody will want.
Yeah.
And so the other day I was on the phone with Daniel Larego, who's the president, and you know, and then texting back and forth with Rodney Habib, you know, I'm just like literally, and then meeting up with them at this big trade show last week. It's huge. I mean, I literally hang up and I'm like, they like me. They really like me. But it was an outer body experience of these people that have been my heroes and my mentors through this whole thing, ups and downs, you know, ins and outs. And, and it all just fell into place. Like, then I met Cole Harrington. I heard about this kid who is making this film. This was probably last December or November. Some kid making this film about the commercial pet food industry. I gotta find him. So I called another hero, Susan Thixton, who I've really become very fond of. Amazing woman for consumers, for pet information,
right.
Pet food. And I said, who is this guy? And she goes, oh, Cole Harrington. And so I called him, and he sent me a copy of the film before it was released. And I literally was sitting in my chair like in a movie theater, my husband and I. And I'm pausing it every 2 seconds going, oh my gosh, I can't, like, it was so exciting to me that all this information now was going to be going out to everybody else.
Right.
And he and I have become such good friends. I mean, he really and truly is family to us. And I just feel like we are all on this journey. Mm-hmm. Cole is on this amazing journey. All these people, you know, that we've all brought us to this common ground of wanting to take care of dogs. But really, what I've noticed with everybody, like in speaking with Karen Becker and Rodney Habib, and is that it really is this, I don't say like a spiritual journey, but it is. I mean, we all tend to talk in terms of the universe and how it all brought, like for being a worldwide kind of message, it has sure brought a lot of people in a close-knit group that wants to change things.
You just gave me goosebumps because as you're explaining that, that's what I'm trying to get across to people, that when you step onto this inspired path, it's like the universe is conspiring
Yes.
with you
Yeah.
and laying the path out in front of you. And yes, you have to take action and you have to do the work, but it's more like you're following and you have this helping hand, and all of these pieces come into place. All of these people show up.
Yes.
And that's why I love your story, because it's inspiring, and it's, you know, we think we have to go figure it all out and we have to go cold call and do all this stuff to build a business. And I'm finding more and more that that's when you are inspired and passionate, you don't have to do that.
I was talking with, and I think you and I talked about it a little too, but I was talking with a friend of mine who's a customer that I've become friends with. And she's got this heart of gold and really wants to do something, and with this passion, you know, with animals and nutrition. And I sometimes have to tell my friends, when I get out of my own way, it rolls out like a red carpet. My crown is on and I didn't put it there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the master of the universe, and I didn't do it, but I'll tell you, I know when I'm getting in my own way, and I know when I'm trying to the best way I can say it is getting out of my own way, because I've spent a lot of years, as we all do.
Yes.
I think as strong, independent women, sorry about this, my hair. Strong, independent women, we have that fine balance of control, because we are strong and we're going to make this happen, versus I'm going to let it happen and I'm going to be strong and independent on this side of the fence, as opposed to over there.
Yes. So before we wrap up, I just want to ask you if there's one piece of advice that you would want to share with somebody who really wants to live inspired or have an inspired business. What would you tell them?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of going through this with a few people that really want to be in this, I say this business, but are looking for, they're connected, they've got the passion. And I think it's kind of like, get an idea of what you want to do. The footwork, you got to do it. What I would tell people is to know what you want. I think really having a vision, creating what you want, literally visualizing it in your head, and whether you use the same words of meditating, whether you sit on a tree stump and just be quiet, like sometimes you just have to visualize it. And I really believe you know what it is, what you're after, let it come. And those doors, when they open, people walk through them. Even if you think, oh, this is not what I wanted to do, this is not what walk through it. Because if it's not something you don't want to do, you can always say, oh, no. Or 9 times out of 10, you walk through that door and 30 more open, and you're like, oh my gosh, had I not done this?
Yes.
So I think get that vision in your head, let it go, and it turns into I'm going this way. It's funny. I'm going, it'll snowball. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Not
right, because it comes to you.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will snowball, and it comes, and I'm so grateful. I love that you're doing this and empowering people, whatever it is that they want to do, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this and sharing your story with everybody.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned. We'll be having more episodes coming soon.
Bye.